everyone. So these past 10 months have been quite a whirlwind for me. After 15 years with the Pampered Chef, I have finally learned how to share the business opportunity. It has now become my life. I drive to every cooking show thinking to myself, whose life will I change tonight? It will always be someone's. It's just never an option. It all fell into place for me when I attended one of Jillian Grant's cooking shows. That night, I realized that recruiting is nothing more than a passion and a love for this company. If you all went home and videotaped your cooking shows, I guarantee that the 3 products that you sell consistently are not because those products are better than any other in the catalog, but simply because you create a picture of 3 products that those guests in your audience cannot live without. The business opportunity is the same thing. When you talk about this business with the same passion and excitement that you talk about your favorite products, your recruiting will explode. So you might be asking, what am I doing differently today that I wasn't doing before I went to Jillian's show? There are 4 key things that I'm sure to do during and after every show that has helped me get the results that I have gotten. First, I always do a strong opening at every single show. Second, I always play the ticket game with excitement and enthusiasm. Third, I do a full service checkout. And last but not least, I always follow up within 24 hours. Let's start with my show opening. I share the business opportunity in my show opening where I tell everybody why I got started and how much money I make at an average cooking show. I tell them that the last thing that they might have thought about when they were driving here tonight was finding a job, but that is honestly the best thing that we offer in the catalog. I ask them to turn to page 3, and I show them the 2 kits that we offer, and I explain the cost of each one and how much product they'll get in each one. I tell them to pay close attention to what I'm going to do here tonight because they can certainly do the exact same thing. I have already planted that recruiting seed. At the end of my show, it's time for the ticket game. I take out my door prize slips and I walk them through every single question. I tell them that we are going to play a game and that if anyone asks me a question about the business opportunity, that they'll get a yellow ticket. I take out my roll of tickets and I tell them if I give them one, they're going to write their name on the back and we're going to pick for a prize. Here's what it starts to sound like. Okay, who's going to start? Ask me any question about the business. Sharon, how much money do you make? Great question. I usually make about an average to $200 to $250 for the demo that you saw. I always tell them it's the only job that I know that for 45 minutes you can make that much money and keep your clothes on. Who else has a question? Sharon, how many nights a week do you do this? Awesome question. I like to do about 3 shows a week, but the great thing about this business is you can do it 5 nights a week. You can do it 2 nights a week. You can do it twice a month. You can do it every Thursday. You can do it every Sunday. It's the only job that I know that fits into your life. You work as little or as much as you want. Whatever works for you and your family. It's your business. Who else has a question? This Q&A will continue for a good 20 minutes. I always close my ticket game by sharing this story with them. I tell them that I want to leave them with one last thought. If their children came to them and told them they wanted to try soccer or baseball or dance, would you ever tell your children not to bother? You're going to be horrible? No. What you tell your children is, honey, try it. If you don't like it, you never have to do it again. But women don't say that to themselves. Women say, I can't do what you're doing. Or they go home and their husband or their mother or their best friend is good for that. What, you're going to sell Pampered Chef? What is that thing? So I always tell people, give yourself the same advice that you would give to your children. Try this business for 1 month. After 1 month and 4 cooking shows, if you don't like this, you can walk away with a ton of products and a pocket full of money and the satisfaction of knowing that you tried. That's the worst thing that'll happen to you. And the best thing that could happen is that you could find out, like me, that this is the most amazing job you will ever have. Let's move on to the full service checkout. When I do my full service checkout, I ask everyone. There's no more prejudging for me. I was the biggest prejudger. When my guests sit down, the first thing I ask them is if they found everything they were looking for. When they say yes, I ask them, what inspired you about the business? And if you ask them, they will tell you. I then find out if they have another job. I find out what they'd be looking for should they decide to explore the business. I explain that I would love to come to their home, do a cooking show, which could be their grand opening. I would love to give them the commission, the bookings, and all the free products. I go on to say that this business is not rocket science. They are not signing on for the next 10 years. If they give me 1 month, I can change their life. 1 month is so non-threatening to a person. That makes everyone feel so comfortable. I cannot tell you how many people sign on the spot when I explain how simple the entire process is. I explain that they are simply trying this business to see if it's a good fit for them. I make them feel comfortable when I tell them that they're in business, they are in business for themselves, but never by themselves, that I will be with them every step of the way. And then there's the follow-up. I used to call a potential lead and say, "Hi, Susie, this is Sharon from the Pampered Chef. Did you get a chance to look at the information I sent you home with?" They'd always say, "No, I was busy. I didn't even get a chance to look at it." I would then say, "Okay, is it okay if I call you back in a couple of days?" And we all know what happens then. You play telephone tag and they're done. Now, this is how I follow up. Oops, sorry. Okay, this is what I say. "Hi, Susie, this is Sharon from the Pampered Chef. I cannot stop thinking about you. I would love to have you on my team. This is what we're going to do. We're going to set up a grand opening. We're going to get you started. You're going to see what I do from the back end, and we're going to take it from there. Take out your calendar. Let's just pick a date." As simple and non-threatening as that. A few months ago, I asked a woman what inspired her, and she explained how she thought this was a great opportunity, but it wasn't right for her, and she shared with me why. I thanked her for being honest and asked her if she knew of anyone that could benefit from a business like this. She told me that her sister was going through a horrible divorce and was desperate for a second job to support her and her 2 children. She asked me for a business card. I gave it to her, and I asked if I could have her sister's phone number so that I could follow up. She gave it to me and asked me to wait 24 hours before I called so that she could tip her sister off. I told her I wouldn't say anything about the divorce. I would just tell her that I met her sister and she thought that she'd be great at something like this. I called that sister 4 times. She never called me back. But here's the thing. I never give up until somebody tells me no. So I continued to call, and after I left the 4th message, she finally called me. She actually thanked me for not giving up on her. She signed on, loves the business, and thanks me every day for helping her make enough money to get away from the ex-husband she used to live with. So I hope this story opened your eyes to 2 important things that happened that night. One is that you really have to ask every single person, because while it might not be right for them, they might know someone whose life you could change with the Pampered Chef. And number 2, you always have permission to follow up until they tell you no. I now keep a recruiting notebook where I list all of the names of people that are interested in the opportunity. If they tell me now's not a good time to follow up in a month, I do. If they tell me to follow up in the spring, that would be a better fit, I certainly follow up in the spring. Since my rebirth, so many people have asked me, what are you saying that's getting so many people to sign on? Because I say the exact same thing and it's just not working for me. This is my answer, and it's really very simple. You can convince somebody to buy a bar pan simply by telling them all of its benefits. But selling someone this business is a little different. You have to fall in love with this company and really believe that it has helped you and your family, or is helping you and your family right now in order to share this opportunity. You need to love this job and really believe that it's the greatest job in the world before you can get somebody else to believe it. I want to share one last quick story with you. In December of 2010, a friend asked me to work at Macy's as a personal shopper for 7 weeks to help her out. I had never worked in retail before, so I thought, 7 weeks, this will be fun, I'll get the discount, it'll be great. I went to work every single day from 9 to 5. I got a half hour for lunch, and I was paid $10 an hour. After the first week, on that Friday, I went straight from work to my cooking show. I called my husband and I said, Scott, do you realize that I made more tonight in 2.5 hours than I made at Macy's all week? I stayed the 7 weeks because I promised my friend that I would. Every day I looked at the people that worked there and I felt so sorry for every one of them. They stood on their feet, complained how miserable they were, but came back day after day because they needed a job. I showed up for work for the entire 7 weeks, and every single day I fell more and more in love with my Pampered Chef business. I realized what a gift this business is. I realized that nowhere in the world do people make the money that we make in the time that we spend. I realized that we have a job that is fun, rewarding, and so incredibly gratifying. I know they always say that you don't realize what you have or how lucky you are until you walk in someone else's shoes, and that is really what that 7 weeks at Macy's did for me. So for those of you that are not quite sure, since maybe you just started with this business, or for those of you that have been in this business for a really long time but might have forgotten, this business truly is an incredible gift that we have all been given, and it's important that we never lose sight of that. I want you to leave here and make it a point to reevaluate 4 things. I want to be certain you have a show opening that is strong and offers the business opportunity, that you play the ticket game with passion and excitement. Always do the full service checkout because informing is not the same as inviting. And always, always remember to follow up within 24 hours because the fortune is in the follow-up. I also need to share something with you that Executive Director Karen Batty said that is so powerful. Woo, Karen! Why are people, this is so huge, why are people willing to work harder for someone else than they are for themselves? I can tell you that I am not. Are you? I want you all to remember one thing. If you don't go after what you want, you will never have it. If you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. If you don't step forward, you're always going to be in the same place. Thank you.